1980, NWA Big Time Wrestling held an event in the Summit, Houston, Texas. The card consisted of Gino Hernandez vs Kevin Von Erich, Mr. Hito and Mr. Sakurada vs Jose Lothario and Tiger Conway for the NWA American Tag Team titles. Then later on in the evening, Mark Lewin vs Dusty Rhodes for the NWA Texas Heavyweight Championship. In 1985, the WCCW held a show in the Dallas Sportatorium and had 3 different title matches on the card. Ric Flair faced off against Terry Gordy for the NWA World Heavyweight title. Kerry Von Erich took on Chris Adams for the NWA American Heavyweight title. Then in the main event, Bobby Eaton and Dennis Condrey faced off against Bobby Fulton and Tommy Rogers for the NWA American Tag Team titles. AJW held an event at the Kawasaki City Gymnasium in 1991. The card was heavily lauded at the time, with 3 matches getting 4 stars or more from the Wrestling Observer newsletter. These were Itsuki Mita, Suzuki Minami and Toshio Yamada versus Mimi Shimida, Mario Tateno and Yumiko Hotta, then Manami Toyota versus Akira Hokuto for the AJW All Pacific Championship, and a main event of Bull Nakano and Kyoku Inoue versus Aja Kong and Bison Kimura in a hair versus hair tag team match. On this date in 1993, we saw the debut episode of Monday Night Raw, hailing from the Hammersmith Ballroom in New York in front of 1,000 people. The card consisted of Yokozuna vs Koko Beware, the Steiner Brothers vs Executioner 1 and Executioner 2, Shawn Michaels vs Max Moon for the WWF Intercontinental title, and a main event of The Undertaker vs Damien Demento. At ECW's House Party 1997 event, Pitbull 1 faced off against Shane Douglas for the ECW World Television title in the main event, and then the undercard included Brian Lee vs Terry Funk and the Eliminators vs Axel Rotten and Devon Dudley for the ECW Tag Team titles. In 1999, WCW and WWF faced off again. On Monday Night Raw, Chyna was victorious in the Corporate Battle Royal. Triple H faced off against Edge and Kane took on Mankind. On the WCW show, Scott Steiner took on DDP, Ric Flair defeated Curt Hennig, and in the main event of the night, the Giant took on Kevin Nash. In 2002, the controversial XPW promotion held the New Year's Revolution event. Chaos defeated Nosawa and Psychosis in a 3-way elimination match for the XPW television title. Supreme regained the XPW King of the Deathmatch title against Dynamite D and Scotty Snot in a 3-way death match. And then in the main event, Johnny Webb went to a time limit draw with Vampiro in a match for the XPW Heavyweight Championship. At Ring of Honor's Proving Ground in 2008, Necro Butcher faced Kevin Steen in a street fight. Then in the main event of the evening, Jimmy Jacobs and Tyler Black regained the ROH World Tag Team titles against the Briscoes, BJ Whitmer and Brent Allwright, and also Jack Evans and Jigsaw in an Ultimate Endurance 4-way tag match. TNA held a Genesis pay-per-view in 2009 which had 3 different titles up for grabs. Alex Shelley beat Chris Sabin for the TNA X Division title. James Storm and Robert Roode regained the TNA Tag Team titles against Consequences Creed and Jay Lethal, and Abyss and Matt Morgan in a 3-way tag team match. And also the TNA World title was on the line when the Icon Sting took on Rhino. On January the 11th, 2014, ZZW held their Answering the Challenge event that saw 3 different titles being defended on the card. Devon Moore won the ZZW Wired TV title against Alex Colon. Alex Reynolds and John Silver defeated BLKGs and Ruckus to win the ZZW Tag Team titles. And finally, Drew Gulak successfully defended the ZZW Championship against Lucky 13. In 2019, one of the premier organisations in the UK, Revolution Pro Wrestling, held the New Year's Resolution event. Zoe Lucas faced off against Yu for the Rev Pro British Women's title. Will Ospreay regained the New Japan's Never Openweight Championship against Chris Brooks. David Starr took on Kip Sabian for the Rev Pro British Cruiserweight title. And in the main event, Zack Sabre Jr. defended the Rev Pro British Heavyweight title against Shakiro Iri.